All right, folks, XRP, the stage is set. It is September 21st, 2025. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to come to you live tonight for a full market update. We talk about current events, the financial markets, and how to take advantage of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. We are starting tonight's live show after Charlie Kirk's memorial service has concluded. May Charlie rest in peace. May we dedicate tonight's live show to Charlie and the effort that he was supporting and really rallying, leading. So special. And on one shoulder, I have, God telling me, on one shoulder, I have the devil telling me, stick to crypto, just stick to crypto. And on the other shoulder, I have God telling me, speak your truth. The battle that we're up against is not just financial. It is spiritual. Absolutely. It's absolutely a spiritual war. I've decided to take my path, which is focus on the financial part of this war, this battle that we're in. It is very real. And can't you connect right away with people that are aligned with you? When we're aligned spiritually, financially, we bring back the power, right? And we can start to have real effective change, real action taking place that's leading to making a real difference. Charlie Kirk and the way that he was able to represent the American ideas of healthy, respectable debate. So important to this country. So important to the cause of helping people understand what to invest in as well. I don't want to get involved yet in politics. I was praying for Charlie Kirk and others to be able to lead us on this America First agenda. I'm not ready to step into the ring. I know that there's going to be a time and a place for that in my future, God willing. But at this current time, I've decided to focus on the financial aspect of this. And I don't like sticking to crypto. That's what the haters say when we venture off and we speak our truth. The trolls and those who don't understand how deep this battle really goes. What's the next meme coin? What's the next 10x? What's the next stock? Being spiritually aligned with purpose that's bigger than yourself is more important than the next pick. And it's interesting, once you get tapped in to that level of consciousness, where it's bigger than you, the purpose is bigger than you, the sacrifice that you're willing to make for your cause is bigger than you. And Charlie Kirk did it. 31 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. I just celebrated my 31st birthday yesterday with my family. And I want to say thank you to our community for allowing me to take some time away. The past week and a half, I've been on the road. And obviously, right before I took off on this trip, Charlie Kirk violently taken from us. I'm going to be careful with my words here tonight, by the way. So I take off on this trip, and when you ask a guy, how's it going, man? And he says, oh, just living the dream. A lot of the time, they don't necessarily mean that all the way. When I tell you guys that I am living the dream, it is absolutely true. 100%. I am beyond blessed with my family, with my purpose, my career, and our alignment. Beyond blessed. And when I go on this road trip with my family right after Charlie Kirk taken from us, it was just a nice moment to take a step away from the mic, away from the fight. And like I said, I don't want to get involved in the politics quite yet, down the road. And I was hoping, and I really hadn't been paying all that much attention to Charlie Kirk's platform and content. I didn't watch it on a regular basis, just to be honest, right? I knew of Charlie. I'd seen so many of his clips. I knew what he was doing. And like I said, I was praying that, hey, God, thank you for my opportunity. Thank you for my ability to be in this fight against this evil. I just knew that my lane, my channel, my YouTube channel, my TikTok platform, my account on X, and the message that I spread on a daily basis is focused on the finances. But like I said, this is bigger than the next pick. And my prayer has been that guys like Charlie could take this lead, bear that torch and continue to lead this country back with an America First agenda, which I think is so important and not political, by the way. The God-given rights, the liberty and justice for all that this country was founded on, that's not political to me. Just like picking the next stock, the next crypto is not political, and folks want me to just stick to that. But when you understand the battle at hand here is bigger than that, you can put together a full encompassing strategy to resist this evil, to live a life of purpose, to expand your cause, your mission, and your family. And I just sat here through, cruising through down to Oregon on this road trip this past week and a half, back up here. The whole trip, just thinking how grateful, how blessed that I get to fight another day, and hopefully, God willing, many decades to come. God willing, a long life, a prosperous life of not only providing for my family, but also helping as many people as possible. And so I just wanted to take a moment here. I was very moved by the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service. I wanted to start out by saying thank you to our community for allowing me to take this time away recently. We had a lovely trip. We traveled on down to Eugene, Oregon for a wedding. We circled back up the Oregon coast. Those of you guys who don't know, Oregon coast is just gorgeous. Circle back up through the Oregon coast, and we land in Seaside for a few days. We literally captured, the locals were telling me, the most beautiful day of the year. It was up over 80 degrees in Seaside. Normally it doesn't get that hot. I mean, for a day going to the beach in the Pacific Northwest, it didn't get better. Seaside, beautiful. And I shot a little quick video from there. And I tried to keep you guys updated along the way, but obviously I was trying to take some time with my family and enjoy that moment. Thank God for this moment. To be able to sit there on that beach, capturing one of the most beautiful days of the year as we wrap up the summer. As God's in control here. Yeah. And then we finish our trip up here in Tacoma. And yesterday, on my birthday, my 31st birthday, took the family. My wife actually booked us the tickets to Monster Jam. For any of you guys with a 2-year-old son, my son just turned 1 week ago. 2-year-old boy and my daughter, got to take them and the family to Monster Jam. And it was a perfect celebration. Perfect way to end our trip back at the Tacoma Dome, a place where I went and watched Monster Jam as a little guy myself. And I sat there just right as the Monster Jam was beginning. I know this sounds silly, right? But I'm just thinking, God bless it. How grateful to be able to be in this moment, watching something as silly as the Monster Jam with my family, celebrating my 31st birthday. I thank God. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. And then we come back home today, right? We're back in studio, right where we belong, spreading our message. And yes, I'm always going to focus on the financial part of this, at least for the time being. And when we do decide to make our move into politics, it will be very strategic. And God willing, we will be protected because we know what we're up against, just fighting for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field. See, we know what we were up against. This red folder was not just a joke. It was obviously a convenient prop, but it was a battle that we were up against until we got this mandate here, that this battle of those of us just trying to use a virtual currency to transfer value, we were set free. That's just the tip of the spear. This battle that we've been up against, right? This battle that we've been up against now, we're starting to hit winning strides. We're starting to make real victories. And I just felt like the Charlie Kirk situation has been an attack on the American value of freedom of speech and healthy debate that he represented so well. That was a big blow. We had to take a moment there. And so as I come here, as his memorial service is wrapped up, I say thank you. We're going to get into the markets, and we're going to continue our fight. For those of you who have been supporting our cause for nearly 5 years, I've been making content. I just want to say thank you. For those of you guys that are praying for my family, thank you. We're not going to stop. Never back down, never surrender. And so here we are tonight. Let's get right on into it. I appreciate you for stopping by. Anthony Pompliano retweeting Erica Kirk tonight. Imagine watching your husband get assassinated and then going in stage in front of 100,000 people to forgive the man who murdered your husband. Erica Kirk just gave us an incredible example of what type of person we should all aspire to be. I agree. It was touching. If you guys missed it, I encourage you guys to go check it out for yourselves. Very powerful. This week, we're back into the markets with Jerome Powell speaking on Tuesday. Now, obviously, while we were on our trip here, I gave you some updates on the road, but we got that first rate cut. I warned about the buy the rumor, sell the news. The market actually rallied the day of. And some of us, and even myself, I thought, oh, wow, we didn't really get much of a sell the news event. It was just delayed about 24 hours, right? Little relief rally. And then the market started to roll back over after that rate cut has been delivered. We'll update you here as we go through this. But this week, August new home sales data on Wednesday after Jerome Powell speaks on Tuesday. August durable goods orders on Thursday. And the big one's going to be the third and final revision to U.S. Q2 2025 GDP data on Thursday. August existing home sales data on Thursday. A little bit of real estate data. And then we have the August PCE inflation data on Friday, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. They've sacrificed the fight against inflation to basically come in and save the labor market, the business cycle, the struggle on Main Street. And the discrepancy between Main Street and Wall Street couldn't be more clear with the S&P 500 printing fresh all-time highs, gold all-time highs. And our altcoins in the crypto space here just teed up and ready to rip in what's going to be a glorious alt season to finish off Q4. If you guys want some bullish content, we are going to get bullish, by the way. If you thought for 1 second that things are bearish because the market's consolidating and we chop back down a little bit, you would be sadly mistaken if that's what you were hoping for, because we will be delivering bullish content in tonight's live show. Okay, folks, let's be very clear about that. How's our portfolio doing? Very well. The traditional 60 portfolio, dead. Morgan Stanley now recommending liquidating 20% of your bond allocation and converting it to gold. The new fund is the 60-20-20 portfolio. Now, for some of us, we went about 95% crypto, 5% precious metals. Now, the 60-40 portfolio is typically 60% stocks and equities, 40% bonds. We just passed that up completely over here. Once again, not to give you financial advice, just to tell you what I've been doing. How we're trying to build wealth for our family. We went 90%, not just crypto, XRP. God bless it. Wow. Has it been life-changing? And this journey, I mean, we're just in the beginning. We're just in the beginning. Now, one thing to note too is our allocation to precious metals doing exactly as intended, outperforming the stock market. Gold. Our defensive measures are outperforming Wall Street's offensive measures. On our offensive measures, like cryptocurrencies, we've been front-running institutions. And now the proof is in the P&L. Now, one thing I got to cover and get out of the way is this Link2 situation. I'm going to keep you guys updated on it. Looks like we have some big breakthroughs coming. We had an update from Link2 and John Deaton while I was on my road trip. I have not had an opportunity to listen to the entire space that John had and that Dan had at Link2. I will update you guys later this week on the Link2 situation, but John Deaton apparently is providing this update today, and we're going to get some stuff happening before Friday, September 26th. So this week, expect a Link2 update from me. Anyone who signed up will get an email from John Deaton. So if you're part of John Deaton, getting represented by John, you're going to get an email on or before Friday, September 26th. So far, there are about 3,600 customers who've signed up who should receive the email. I'll explain where we are in the process and what to expect from here. I'll also do another Spaces on X on or before Friday, and we'll post the notice before doing it. Now, this is the attack on our private equity shares, right? I never invested in Link2, but many of our community members did. And what we see here is one heck of a story, one heck of a deal. I will update you guys on this situation later this week. I want to wait and after I've had time to review the update from Link 2. They are looking to settle up, apparently. John Deaton representing over 3,600 people in this matter. John Deaton represented over 70,000 people, assembling the XRP community members for joining in the Ripple case. And so we're watching this and reporting to you guys the facts and what we know. And then I've also commented on just how unfortunate I think this whole deal is, because it was a massive success with many people who otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to get private equity, getting exposure to companies like Ripple and others. And by the way, included in my road trip, just a couple of days ago, was going to shoot on Friday with Chris from Fruition Films for his new documentary, Money Disrupted. So I did that. That was on the 19th, Friday, the day before my birthday. And we shot for this new film, Money Disrupted, which is really taking on the Federal Reserve. And I'm excited for it because it's going to be really reaching out to an audience bigger than just the XRP community. I think that this documentary is actually going to feed a lot of people back into the first documentary, because this is going to bring in Bitcoin folks. This is going to bring in just anybody that wants to understand what the Federal Reserve is and how the new system is being rolled out before us. And part of that I mentioned in filming with Chris was private equity. Private equity is part of this, that we should be changing the accreditation standards, or, basically removing them completely, in my opinion. If you can go gamble on sports, if you can go gamble on a meme coin and take 10,000 to the casino or 10,000 to a sports bet, why can you not invest in private equity? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field, not just reserving the best opportunities in the investing world for the accredited folks with $1 million net worth, or the other, there's a few other ways that you can become an accredited investor or a sophisticated investor. But I thought this was America. Once again, those that invested in Ripple equity on Link 2 and many of the other platforms, this platform was very successful. It had somebody running it in Bill Saris, from what I've been able to gather, that was stretching it and taking it over the line. This is very clear, the rules in the securities world. And what they were doing was excessive. It was aggressive. Bill Saris is the only one that I've really heard been accused of any wrongdoing. That's all I can report on at this time. But what I also can report on is that this platform had created billions in equity for many members of our community and just people who weren't even part of XRP community, but invested on Link 2. It's part of a bigger than the red folder, right? Talking about the capital markets of America, and why are the basically poor and middle class kept out of investing in these private equity opportunities. Great deals like Ripple, which was bought anywhere between 20, 30, 40, upwards of, I think, 60, 70 bucks on Link 2, right? You might have even paid more if you bought recently before they shut down. But even if you had bought in at, $100 per share, the most recent Ripple buyback and tender offer was at $175 per share. Incredible success, and I'm still hopeful that the situation will work out. I will let you guys know a further update on Link 2 later this week. Okay? Let's get into the good stuff. If you guys haven't already, please make sure that you like and share the stream. We appreciate you for stopping by on a Sunday. The big conversations lately in the XRP community have been revolving around XRP yield. Everybody wants yield on their XRP. As we've been saying, right, you have centralized providers coming out like Digital Wealth Partners, which are doing it in a more traditional finance way. You have DeFi platforms like Flare, and then everything in between, right? Some parties have worried us. Some platforms seem interesting, but we still have further questions. And we're just going to continue to update you guys on this XRP yield war. But as somebody who holds a lot of XRP, God bless it, because it's a great opportunity for a lot of service providers to come service the XRP community. Crypto Airy is retweeting what is Midas RWA internet native investing, institutional grade assets built for the open web, backed by High Framework, Strobe Fund, GSR, and CB Ventures. Midas RWA is going to bring MXRP to the XRP ledger. It's not available yet. Okay, but apparently you're going to be able to earn up to 10% on this stablecoin, I guess is what it is. Not quite sure if they're running with the name stablecoin, but they are saying that this is going to become a perpetual buyer of XRP. Now, Crypto Airy apparently has an interview with the CEO of Midas and Axelar. Now, I have invested in Axelar. I will be looking into this MXRP. Infinite money glitch is a term that does scare me. Okay, just being honest, it's a term that does scare me. But we always, are going to look into these opportunities for the XRP community. We love to see that it's all being built out right now for us on our behalf to service the XRP family. They're in Seoul, Korea right now. XRP Ledger Seoul. Big conference taking place. Supporting builders. Korea absolutely loves XRP. Massive. Absolutely massive. Wall Street is now going to fall in love with XRP. While we were on our trip, right, the Rex Osprey XRP spot ETF went live along with the Grayscale Large Cap Fund. Grayscale Large Cap Fund almost setting records, but the Rex Osprey one did. For first day volume in 2025 of any new ETF, the XRPR ticker, which is the spot ETF from Rex Osprey, it had, I believe, over 37 million in volume. See, I don't know why he only has 15 million of volume on day one. Right here, Jungle Inc. capturing this, but 22 million from Grayscale. He's saying only 15 million from XRPR, which is the ticker. I believe that actually is not true, though. From my understanding, and I had a tweet saved from somebody else, that was actually over 37 million of volume, which was the record. The 2025 day one trading volume record for any ETF was the first spot XRP ETF, the Rex Osprey one. And somebody can fact check me real quick in the comments, but I believe it was 37 million of volume day one. Now, that was larger than the Dogecoin ETF, which had 12 million. Now, we love to see it. We want all the ETFs, all the exposure, all the accessibility to these products. Wall Street, in their system, the way that it's set up, right? Many of these institutions, pension funds, and now 401ks are looking to get exposure to XRP and some of these other digital assets. The way that they are going to do it is going to be through the ETFs. Okay. Now, new ETFs launch with barely 1 million in trades. These smashed expectations. XRP is now trading on Wall Street alongside Bitcoin and ETH, and even Doge performing well. So you're watching here as Wall Street gets to observe how the first XRP spot ETF does. Well, it sets the record for day one trading volume in 2025. Yeah, 24 million in 90 minutes. Jungle Inc. had that wrong. Yeah. I just had pulled that tweet because I saw that he had the Grayscale one and the Doge ETF. So maybe I need to fact check him on that too. But shout out to Jungle Inc. I know he's been making XRP content for a long time. But 37 million on the day. You guys got it in the comments. Setting the record. BlackRock is watching. All of Wall Street is watching. I really want folks to understand who's all showing up at Ripple's Swell Conference in November. NASDAQ, BNY Mellon, Citi, BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton, JP Morgan Chase, the CME Group, Moody's, State Street, DBS, and many more. A fully stacked lineup of institutions. Now, they are all watching, and I think that you're going to see, this is going to be the big unveil, is this year at the Ripple Swell Conference. Ripple's going to put XRP on the map because the price is going to be going ballistic leading up to this conference. And we've been talking about the run up that's coming here. And yes, it's still coming. 100%. Okay? 100%. We're talking about XRP increasing in price substantially before the Ripple Swell conference. The XRP ETFs going live next month in October before the Ripple Swell conference. The first spot ETF went live last week, setting records for the most day one volume of any ETF of 2025. Wall Street is watching. This is how they make their money. They're willing to do a lot to defend their assets under management, their market share, their business is reliant upon allowing their investors, BlackRock, over 10 trillion assets under management. I think the most recent tally, somebody needs to fact check that because I think it's over 11, 12 trillion. Might even be 13 trillion by now. The number went up. They got a lot more Bitcoin, and obviously they've gotten in on Ethereum. That's also been one of the most successful ETFs as well. It's impossible for BlackRock not to have an XRP ETF. It's impossible for BlackRock not to have basket ETFs as well, like the Grayscale large cap fund that just went live this week. And so between now and November, when all of those banks and institutions are showing up at Ripple Swell Conference, do you think that Ripple would be bringing all of them in if they didn't have something to show for it? If they didn't have an XRP price that was already moving? And it already has been the best performer one of the best performers since the November election. Absolutely. I was explaining XRP at the wedding. Somebody had asked me, hey, Zach, what do you do? Farah told us, your wife told us what you do. What all are you involved in? What is this? I explain, I'm on YouTube. I talk about crypto. And I explain how the main crypto that I talk about and have invested in is XRP. And then I said to them, it's been the best performer since the November election. And it was an elderly couple that, I was joined by, and they were asking further questions. They said, so what's all going on with this crypto stuff? And I thought, it's game on. It's game on. Because you got folks that I'm guessing probably over 70 years old, 60, 70 years old, asking, what's going on with this crypto thing? They're not just asking me at the random wedding. This isn't just an anecdote that I'm sharing. This is a conversation that they're having with their money manager, their investment advisor, on how do you get me some exposure to this XRP that this little kid, me, told me about, has been the best performer since the election. Now they go back to their money manager, the investment advisor, and they say to them, why the hell have you not gotten us exposure to this best performer since the November election, my friend? I'm paying you to find me the next plays. No exposure to XRP? That's a problem. And it's a fair question to ask your financial advisor, your investment advisor, anybody that you're taking financial advice from. And it shows me that the masses are figuring out, oh crap, we need to get exposure here. Everybody in this country and really around the world is starting to say, okay, we need to do something because they know how quickly the dollar is being devalued. Many of them understand precious metals. But now they're starting to understand, especially with the president of the United States taking on this pro-crypto agenda in this Congress, the most pro-crypto Congress that we've ever elected. This is not a political issue. At least it shouldn't be. Elizabeth Warren and some, boy, do they want to attack our industry. Red folder, right? Boy, do some want to take us down. Meanwhile, this new administration, this new Congress, which Ripple had a part in electing, being one of the largest campaign financiers of this previous election, Ripple, and some of the super PACs that they were involved in. Not a political issue. Remember, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field is what we're fighting for. In a digital form, in cryptocurrency fashion, on distributed ledger technology. Why should we have to fight so hard to be able to get access to these products and these distributed ledger technologies? Well, that's another conversation for another day. The point being, we've been front running the institutions, we've been front running the 401ks, which is another 8, 9, maybe over 10 trillion that will now have exposure to crypto. And the average investment advisor knows that they can't be on zero anymore. They need to get off zero. So they're going to take them 1 to 5%. Some more aggressive will take them 10 to 20. You have a few outliers, one of the most respected, Rick Edelman, in the world, suggesting a 10 to 40% exposure to crypto. And they're also talking about precious metals. Now, this is what's backing. I want to explain for everybody these ETFs and how they work. The ETF, the Rex Osprey ETF that went live last week, this is not an ETF that went live and was filed under the 33 Act. It was under the 40 Act. Now, under the 40 Act, they have to be structured a little bit differently. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but here's the simple backing of what is behind the Rex Osprey ETF. To be clear, yes, the fund has to physically hold, in digital form, XRP backing a certain percentage of the fund. And typically on these, it's about 80%, sometimes a little bit more. But it's not completely 1-to-1 where the one share is going to represent one XRP. That's not how this fund works. In a lot of these funds, it's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. So everybody needs to understand that as these ETFs go live, the reason why they trade at a price that is not the price of XRP, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, at least not many of these. What's going to happen is they're going to be multiple XRP behind one share. So one share would represent 500 XRP, like the contract you see on Coinbase futures. The futures that I trade, you're trading 500 XRP per contract on those micro contracts. And I believe that it's 10,000 XRP on the full contract size. That's the institutions like Sal Gaberte's to Cream. They trade the big ones for the big boys. Little Zach Rector over here trades the small contracts, the minis, the 500 units per contract, right? These ETFs, as they go live, you're going to see all sorts of different structures. This Act 41's a little bit different. It's currently backed, and this was as of Friday, I think, when Chad Steingraber posted this, right? That would have been Thursday, September 18th. The New York variant of the CME CF XRP dollar reference rate, which basically 59% of this, nearly 60% of this ETF is backed by XRP, 122,000 XRP. Now, they've also backed it about 40% by the CoinShares physical XRP. That's 2,180 XRP. Cash and other is about 1.36%. So about $8,513 in cash. So what these Act 40 products allow them to do is back it by about 80%. And that range can vary. Obviously, this is about a 60-40 portfolio, but they can do about, 60, 80% XRP, a portion of it in futures, and then another portion of it in treasuries or cash. So it allows the fund to have a little bit more flexibility. I want to note to everybody the fact that Rex Osprey found this workaround to bring this XRP ETF live before all of the other spot ETFs. This is Wall Street finding workarounds in this very complex securities world that we know way more about than we ever thought that we would because of the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, and just because we've been studying this so much recently. And these ETFs with all of them going live, we're trying to understand what's actually backing them. Is it real XRP? Yes, it is. And I want everybody to know that as of Friday, or Thursday, when Chad posted this, they only had 122,000 XRP backing this. But you'll note that there was $37 million worth of trading. So if that ends up with 5-10 million in XRP that needs to, be purchased, right? They're going to have to go buy that. They're going to have to go buy that somewhere. This is probably the most important thing for us to watch next in the XRP family. And this is why you guys come here, is because I try to give you guys the XRP update first and foremost with the rest of crypto in the markets. But I try to bring you an XRP update that's backed by real data, real analysis, and not just clickbait and hopium. We need to see where the XRP is coming from for these ETFs. One of the most interesting things that we've watched recently has been the Coinbase wallets getting drained. The Coinbase wallets are getting drained of XRP over the past few weeks. Okay? And we need to continue to watch this because Coinbase is probably one of the largest custodians for most of the ETFs on Wall Street right now for the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. For the crypto ETFs in America, Coinbase has been that facilitator. They have ran that OTC desk for these institutions, and they have their institutional grade custody, right? Their Coinbase platform. And that's where the Bitcoin and Ethereum, a lot of it had been acquired from for the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. It is my belief that Ripple cannot sell to these ETF issuers because these ETF issuers are selling a security. So you would have an investment contract where if Ripple was selling the XRP to these institutions directly themselves, they would be selling to institutions. That injunction is still in place. Now, the SEC has already delivered, I think it's like a no action. Don't quote me exactly, but it's basically essentially a no action letter on ongoing sales by Ripple. Now, we've also mentioned in our coverage of this that Ripple has already restructured how they sell XRP to institutions because they didn't stop selling XRP all through the lawsuit. That was a big cause and reason for confusion, is many people thought that Ripple had stopped. No, they continued. And the only way that they were able to continue is because they knew that they'd restructured those contracts so that they weren't investment contracts. The difference in this sale to an institution like Rex Osprey is this institution is selling an ETF on the other side, a security on the other side. And so that's the big question I have here, is where will the XRP come from for the ETFs? The Rex Osprey ETF has to become a buyer on Monday. And maybe they have OTC desks that they can also tap into over the weekend. See, it's crazy for us in the crypto world to think about, markets being shut down, having to wait till Monday to settle up. But that's how these ETFs are settled. They're settled up at the end of the day. The SEC has now made them go to T1, right? So you settle up at the end of the day. XRP, we're settling in 3 to 5 seconds every single time. So even T1 is slow for us. But that's where they've moved us to. And so at the end of the day, these ETFs have to go acquire the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the XRP, and the Dogecoin to back their ETF. So Rex Osprey is going to be coming to the table to buy XRP from somewhere. Now that will be an OTC transaction. So it does not necessarily have a direct impact on market price, but where it does impact price is when we start to see, wait, the XRP supply, where is it going? And folks start to realize, wait, it's no longer going to exchanges. Ripple is not selling to exchanges anymore. They're only selling to their institutional partners that are using it for its utility on the back end of the system. And they're only selling it potentially to ETF issuers or to OTC desks like Coinbase. And so we have to watch Coinbase here closely. This account right here, XRP Wallets on X, they have been tracking these Coinbase wallets. And according to them, there's only 2 Coinbase cold wallets remaining at 16.4 million XRP each. This is what we have to watch. Where are they getting the XRP from? Because then we start to understand the dynamics of the XRP supply. This is the only question that remains. What we know is that XRP is going to be bought for ETFs. XRP is going to be bought for digital asset treasury companies. And then we're watching institutions use the XRP ledger in real time. The DBS Bank that announced their partnership, actually it was an expansion of their existing partnership, that was announced last week, right? And obviously Ripple is going to custody ROUSD collateral at BNY Mellon. And the list that I read off to you guys of who's showing up at Ripple Swell includes NASDAQ, BNY, Citi, BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin, Templeton, JP Morgan Chase, CME Group, Moody's, State Street, DBS, and many, many more. An absolutely crazy lineup. Now, I want you guys to answer this question in the chat below. Is it possible that BlackRock shows up to the Swell conference without having an XRP ETF ready to go? Do you think that Ripple is inviting BlackRock to join them at the Swell conference without an XRP ETF ready to go? The answer is no. There's not a chance, right? 100% BlackRock is going to be launching an XRP ETF. We then get to look at what happened with all of the pre-allocation contracts. I think that this is when we'll start to see how much XRP's actually been allocated to some of these institutions, and then where the allocations are going to go moving forward. And this is where it would maybe be revealed where, okay, some of these institutions already have big amounts of XRP, but then they're going to have to acquire more as these ETFs grow, right? BlackRock starts the fund at a certain amount, and then day one, it's off to the races, and these have grown into massive ETFs. The first ETFs to reach 10 billion in assets under management of any ETF in history. The BlackRock Bitcoin ETF and the BlackRock Ethereum ETF. They're going to miss the number 3 coin besides a stable coin. I mean, basically XRP's been at number 3 for so long. It's impossible for them to miss that. The top asset manager in the world? Not a chance. Of course, this is just my speculation. And you guys know why we speculate on that when Larry Fink's brought up to Charlie Gasparino's show and can't comment on an XRP ETF when asked directly, is BlackRock going to launch an XRP ETF? The you-know-what eating grin on Larry Fink's face said it all. And that's what we're going to be celebrating at Ripple's Swell conference. Okay? Now, I've seen super chats come in. I'm going to get to the super chats here. I just got an update now on the markets, on the charts, and then we're going to get into your rapid fire Q&A. I want to say thank you for everybody that likes our stream, shares it out far and wide. For those of you guys that support us by using our affiliate links linked up down below, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're just going to do a quick market update, show you the critical levels on XRP, and then I want to get into rapid fire Q&A. Let's get it going. Cassie Trades, I've really appreciated her technical analysis, very level-headed, and she's been finding the right fib levels, the right support levels, been directly over the target lately, so I appreciate that. XRP is facing critical support right now, and this was tweeted out a few days ago. When was this? September 19th, so that was Friday. XRP facing critical support, watching 298 versus lower 290s. XRP is taking a hit alongside Bitcoin, and because it failed to make a new local high, the door is open for a deeper correction. The pattern is setting up an ABC with C wave targets, into the low 290s, specifically around 292 to 294. These levels align with both the 618 retracement and the measured C wave extension. This is the exact critical support to defend if 298 breaks. Now, 298 has broke since she put out this post. And then she went on to say, price is holding, but on the 1 hour and 4 hour, we're not yet seeing bullish divergence, which usually is needed before a reversal. That points to the probability of another wave lower into the 290 support zone. That's exactly what has come in since she put out this post. And this is why I say she's been pretty spot on with her fib levels and targets. I appreciate it. On the smaller 15-minute time frame, there is a bullish divergence, which is providing a short-term reaction from $3, but without confirmation on higher time frames, the most likely outcome remains a break of 298 and a move towards the C wave targets in the low 290s. This is a critical moment for XRP in the entire market. If it can defend 298, we may see consolidation and an eventual move back to resistance levels at 325 and 344. We've been trying to get those levels back now for well over a month. If it can defend, if that support fails, then 292 to 294 will be the key zone to watch for a stronger rebound and a potential momentum shift. Well, that is exactly where XRP went to. As I pull up my chart for you guys to review with me, we see that XRP swiped down here to 295, and that was earlier today. This is the 15-minute chart. The 15-minute chart. And we see this pullback right down here to 295 on the Qcoin chart. Now, when I had seen this post, I was on the road driving back up from Oregon, and I was on the go with the family, and I just decided at that point I was going to secure profit on my XRP long and ride out this weekend, knowing that I didn't need to worry about crypto at all. And really not worried about crypto, but not worried about this trade that I was in. For those of you guys that have been watching me, I entered an XRP long back in July, rolled that contract back over to August, rolled it back over to September. But it was Friday, I went back to my Discord group and I checked in our trading channel where I share my trades, not to give anybody financial advice, but just to say how I'm moving. I like to be as transparent as possible with you guys. And at that point, I saw that post. I was on the road and didn't have time to really be watching the markets. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take the profit that I have. And at the time, XRP on the Coinbase futures market was at 308. So I exited my XRP long at 308 on Friday, let the Discord group know right away. And since then, we have seen XRP come back down. And in fact, on the Coinbase futures market, on that chart, it went exactly down to my entry point, which was 292. So I'd lowered my entry all the way down to 292 on this XRP long, and decided to take profit while I was at 308 on Friday, went to cash, and I'm now looking to re-enter this XRP long under 290. And we'll see if these levels fill. If they don't, I might get left behind on this one. But I had other reasons why I decided to step out of this. I mean, the trade had gotten to be so big. And I said, at this point, and I wanted to really enjoy the weekend with my family, knowing that I didn't want to have to watch or worry about the charts and have that in the back of my mind. So on Friday, I just said, okay, let's take our profit and let's see how it plays out. It looks like we're going to go down and check these levels. And sure enough, it did. So we went exactly down to 292 on the Coinbase September's contract, which is where my average entry was at. I will now be looking to re-enter this XRP long under that level of 292, and we'll see if I catch it. You know, this is the game that you play, and this is why I just hold my spot bag. 90% of my entire portfolio in crypto is XRP spot. What I'm explaining to you guys right now, buying and selling of futures contracts, is part of my trading bag, which goes wherever I need it to go. And so I want to be very clear about that. I get to sleep like a baby at night over the weekend and enjoy my birthday weekend with the family because I was able to take my profit knowing that this downside move was going to play out. And I want everybody to remember the updates that I've been providing over the past 2-3 weeks, even really over the last month, where I warned about the buy the rumor, sell the news on the interest rate cut. It looked like we didn't have that much of a pullback. I'm going to zoom out on my chart now to the daily chart to show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, let me readjust this chart and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, 1 second. Zoomed out on the daily, right? You had Wednesday, September 17th. We had these days marked on our calendar. And sure enough, right? I mean, this is why we had these days marked. Look at this price action, guys. This is why we knew the move was coming. I was not able to exit my XRP long at the top, right? I could have exited up here. Spot price was 318 on Qcoin. I could have, I didn't, right? But what happened here is XRP rallied through the Fed meeting and decision, Jerome Powell speaking, and then the market moved back up. On that Thursday, XRP went back up to about 314. On Friday, while it was making a bounce back up at 308, that's when I took my profit. I said, okay, this sucker's coming back down. But it has come back down to 295. On the Coinbase September's contract, it went down to 292, which is where my average entry was at. And so I was able to secure that profit on that XRP long. Enjoy my birthday weekend. We marked the energy coming in here. You went full moon, lunar eclipse on September 7th. And sure enough, that energy came in bullish, very strong. And then you get a back test in here to this solar eclipse, which we had marked on September 21st. And now we wait for this consolidation to end. Zooming out further, this is the big consolidation that has people totally hung up. For new people in the XRP community, for just day traders that came to make a quick buck, or for the XRP OGs that have been here for years, like myself and others that have been investing in this asset for 7 years. When you have a massive bag of XRP and it's moving from 366 back down here to 270, down all the way here to 269, your net worth is changing dramatically. I can tell you this firsthand. And I comfortably hold through this consolidation knowing that we already broke out. This little back test here, that's a little trade, little movement. But I drew this trend line here last week and a half before I left my office, before I left the studio and ventured off on this road trip. I drew the trend line. I put out videos saying that we already broke out. And we also warned about the buy the rumor, sell the news, which we did get that to come in. Is basically XRP was up here. It topped out at 318 just 4 days before the Fed interest rate decision. And then it pulls back here about 7%, which is a very small pullback. And this is exactly why I dropped a video on the beach at Seaside. And I titled the video $100 XRP Final Destination. And I shared a little story about our road trip from Eugene up the Oregon coast. It's absolutely beautiful drive. And for any of you that have been on a family road trip, you know what happens next. Somebody gets car sick. And it just so happened to be my son. And we had this big accident. You know how it goes. But we stayed strong. Gathered back, the family held it together. Huge shout out to my wife. And we got back on the road and we continued to our destination because we knew the final destination was what I consider to be a real beach. Up where I live in Washington, we got pretty crappy beaches. Now, obviously, you're grateful to be by the water, be by the ocean. We take it for granted here on the West Coast. We have a crappy beach up where I live. It's just rocks, right? But it is still gorgeous. It is still a blessing. But it's nothing like the beach at Seaside. And I knew that's our final destination. We power through. We had another couple hours left on our road trip. And I shared that video on the beach with you guys at Seaside, sharing that story, giving you that example of comparing it to XRP. If we know that our final destination in 2026, my base case for XRP in 2026, maybe even by the end of the year, base case is $20 to $30 in 2026. Base case. If we know that to be true, why would we be crying about a little consolidation since the end of July in here through September? You're talking about 2 months. 2 months of consolidation. And you're crying, even though the journey over the next year takes us up another few multiples. Even though the journey over the next few years, like I titled in the video, if we all believe it's $100, or some of us believe it could go even higher, I know we're not allowed to talk about that, but if so many people in the community really do believe that it's going to $100 or $1,000, we laugh about the noise in the meantime. And like I said, you sleep like a little baby at night when you're 95% of your portfolio is spot. you're not over leveraged, and you love your life. You live a life with purpose. You've stacked big bags of XRP. You got your precious metals. I come back home to the pumpkins that are overtaking my backyard now. I got a broccoli start, a couple lettuce popped up. I threw some seeds in the dirt. And you're thankful for the moment to be able to invest in the fourth industrial revolution, raising your family through this transformation of wealth, and knowing that God willing, you've already had major success, but it's about to come another tenfold. It's about to come another 100-fold. Why would we get hung up on the noise in the meantime? Why would we cancel the trip because one member got a little sick when we know the destination is beautiful? One of the most beautiful days of the year in Seaside, Oregon, for my family to go jump in the waves, enjoy and soak up that last bit of summer sun. And I told my wife, she knows, we have a deal. We don't bring out the spooky season decorations and Halloween. We don't get into that until after my son's birthday, which is a week before mine, and my birthday yesterday, which is basically the official end. I think today's the last day of summer. Maybe today's the first day of fall. Something like that. Fall starts tomorrow, basically. Then we can decorate for spooky season of Halloween. And guess what my family is doing downstairs right now? All of the Halloween decorations are out. And my wife and my kids, God bless them, are all decorating for Halloween. To share one final piece of blessed news with you guys, because I know today it was a heavy day for a lot of people. I want to give you a little bit of light today, a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness today. It is my absolute pleasure to let you guys know too, that I don't just have the two kids down there. We actually do have a third one cooking in the oven as we speak. That's right. We have been blessed with another one. It's going to be a baby boy. And I cannot thank God enough. I cannot thank my wife enough. I cannot thank our families enough. And I cannot thank this community enough for allowing me to live this life, live this dream, and fulfill this role, this purpose with you guys together. So I want to say thank you, and let's get into your guys' rapid fire Q&A. All is well. All is well in the XRP family. And yes, the XRP family is growing. God bless all of you guys. Let's go. Rapid fire Q&A. Thank you. That's right. Thank you. Let's go. Rapid fire Q&A. Thank you so much for stopping by tonight. It's an absolute pleasure. Let's go. Let's start this party off. I know you dropped this one a while ago, Legend. My apologies for just now getting to it. But Legend started off the party tonight with a massive donation. Thank you for the 100 spot, my brother. Green candles are right around the corner. It will be a good Christmas. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. May God bless his family. Amen. 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 Yeah, I wanted to wait till the ceremony was over. I was listening in myself. Very powerful, very moving. Thinking of Erica and the family that Charlie leaves behind. Like I said, that was my big reflection over the weekend, well, over the road trip. That's all I ask God for, is just giving us this opportunity to keep on resisting the evil. Keep on fighting. God bless it. Thank you. Dennis spent lots of time in Cannon Beach and Seaside. Now, in Cannon Beach, for those of you guys who don't know, the elk reside down in Cannon Beach, and they go down to the beach. Now, we went and we drove to the big park there. And as we were driving along the park, we ran into the elk, and they were right up next to us. And it was hilarious. We were going on a drive. Both the kids were sleeping, and we had them sleeping in the back. And we roll up on the elk, and they had a couple little ones, and they turned and they reared up, and they stepped up to the car. And I thought for a second that they were about to run right in, like run us off the road. and smash right into us and tell us to get out of here. I said, okay, sorry. But for, we don't have much elk up where I live in my neck of the woods. And so I love getting to see the elk up front. And we were right up face to face with this elk. And I think it was a big mama elk that was ready to defend it all for her little ones. And so I respected that. We said, okay, we're going to continue on our little drive up the hill here. Absolutely beautiful in Cannon Beach. Absolutely gorgeous. That was my first time really exploring Cannon Beach. And getting to see the elk too. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. Dennis says, Fidelity, obviously conspiring with BlackRock. They have a sole ETF announced and no XRP. Play for mass rollout. Evidence that BlackRock was buying Bitcoin 1 year before the ETF. And that's just exactly what we're talking about, right? I think that many of these institutions already have their allocation filled, and they're going to need a lot more. Dennis says the 33 active securities, 40 actives for mutual funds cannot hold 100% spot. Exactly. Yep. Thank you. I was a broker for 40 years. The amount they sold is massively bullish. Yeah. Breaking records day one. XRP spot ETF, day one, breaking records. And I think it's a sign of things to come for the other ETFs as well. There's about 7, I believe, that are set to go live between October, and one of them has a final deadline in November. But it's my opinion that you're going to see all of those go live in October at the same time, just like they did with the Bitcoin ETFs. There was 11 Bitcoin ETFs that went live on January 11th. And I also want to remind everybody, why doesn't XRP go to the moon? Well, I just showed you guys earlier, there's only about 100,000 XRP backing it so far, but they just did 37 million in volume of trading day one. So I'm assuming they have millions, if not tens of millions of XRP that they now have to go acquire. That's just the drop in the bucket compared to the massive XRP supply that we have, but it's showing you what's getting started. And compared to other ETFs this year, it set the record for day one volume in 2025. Very important to know. And then with the Bitcoin ETFs, you didn't see Bitcoin really run back up for another 2 months. Right? Bitcoin went down. This is why I was warning about a buy the rumor, sell the news on the rate cuts. And I was also warning about buy the rumor, sell the news on the ETFs. And this is why I still believe that we're on our way to a $4 to $7 XRP by October 17th. I'll show you guys the chart here real quick. I mean, we're still on track. Absolutely. Let me get that out of the way. That is my new purple box. My original purple boxes did miss. Okay, we missed by 9% here. We missed by a lot on this one. And we're ready to break up into this one by October 17th, which is the green vertical line on this chart. This is how I approach the markets now, is targets and time frames. Right? I have short-term trades that I'm making, obviously on much smaller time frames. And then we have massive positions that we've held for years, XRP, XLM, and others that we have been watching for, and we're trading over bigger time frames. These are not day trades. It's not even really a swing trade. It's a trade that it's a position that we've acquired over years. And XRP is right on target, $4 to $7 by October 17th. If you want to make money, you got to step up to the batter's box and be ready to swing. I know folks want, Zach, just stick to the facts. Well, I could, right? But do you want to make money? I do. And so we're going to trade while we also have our spot positions. Okay. And it's important to understand when to exit these positions that might not be a day trade or a swing trade, but are the positions that you've amassed over 5-6 years, like XRP and others. Understanding where it's going under what time frame is the entire game. If I wanted to just be a face and a teleprompter reader, I would be sending my resume to CNBC. We want to have a little bit more fun, add a little bit more spice. And with that comes being wrong from time to time. Like I said, is that going to stop us from stepping up to the plate next time? Absolutely not. Because basically 9 times out of 10, we're smacking the stitching off the ball with our targets and timelines and our trades. Now, this is where we're at right now. XRP at 295 as we speak. Back down. This is why I said I am looking to re-enter my XRP long. I took profit at 308. We're back down to 295. Okay, little consolidation, but it is coming to an end. And we already did break out here. And really, to me, this almost looks like you got a cup and handle forming right here. From the July high to what's coming next, you got a cup and handle formation. And I think that that plays really well into my targets and timeframes for XRP running up $4 to $7 by October 17th. A little bit of a pullback by the rumor, sell the news after October 17th. But then we enter a new reality, which is double-digit XRP into 2026. And I'm looking for XRP to hold a floor price above double digits in 2026. Okay? Back to our comments and questions. Thank you, Corey. Hey, Zach, my father, RIP, passed when I was 15 years old. He happens to share the same birthday as you. Happy birthday, brother. Glad you had a nice vacation and well-deserved. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. We had another birthday in our Discord group, Travis. A huge shout out to Travis. Thank you, brother, for being a great member of our community. Posted evidence on X. DTCC Project Ion has been live since 2022. DTCC is already using XRP on R3, which builds on the XRP ledger Dennis, and that's the big bag that was acquired by R3. It's so interesting, right? People say, oh, there's no pre-allocation. That's all conspiracy theory. That's all speculation. No, we know one institution in R3 wanted to get 5% of the entire XRP supply. That is equivalent to what Michael Saylor, well, he's trying to do that too. It's equivalent to what Tom Lee is trying to do with his company, Bitmain and Ethereum. They're looking to get 5% of the entire Ethereum supply. Now, they are up against a token that is not capped at any supply. For those of you guys who don't know, there is no max supply on Ethereum. But Tom Lee is set to get 5% of the entire Ethereum supply. And R3, they did this back in 2016. You want to talk about a crypto treasury company? How about a company that wanted 5% of the entire XRP supply? We know of this to be a fact. Now, the deal did fall apart, and they only acquired $1 billion. Where is that billion now? What are the future plans? XRP was the first ledger live on their Corda platform. Now, it has since become blockchain agnostic, but R3 was one of the first institutions that showed they were going to be using XRP. It went live back in 2016. And not just we're going to run on the rails of XRP, we want to own the rails too. We want 5% of the entire XRP supply. And so I said, this is why it's on my sticky note right now. Right? This sticky note from a few weeks ago when I did my exit strategy on every single crypto that I own. And I went through every crypto. ETFs, digital asset treasury companies, institutional adoption. And then I looked at the circulating supply and the tokenomics. That's the list. And for XRP, we were talking about digital asset treasury companies basically back in 2016. I mean, what else do you call that? 5 billion XRP is what R3 was trying to acquire. Now, I want to get back here because I know a lot of people are excited that we're back live. We got a lot of super chats to get through, and we want to get to your guys' comments and questions. Zach, if you were to guess, when are we going to see regulations fully passed and the crypto market adjusting to Moon? As I said, looking at my chart, we're going $4 to $7 for XRP by October 17th. We're moving back up here shortly. The consolidation period ends in September. Into the beginning of October, we probably will be moving back up. I think that your lows could come in over the next 48 hours. I went to cash on Friday. I'm getting ready to buy as I'm doing this live show with you guys, the market's moving back down. 296 is where we're at. We just went and tapped 295 again. Now, we knew that this is a big support level. 290 to 290, basically 292 was a big level of support. That's exactly where the Coinbase futures went back down to. That's what my average price on my XRP long was before I took profit at 308. But now I'm looking to get back in. And I do not advise this type of trading for new people or anybody. I don't give financial advice. I don't recommend it. I've been in the game for 7 years, trading actively for about 4. And I do this every single day, especially when I'm back here in my home, in my office, ready to work. You know, we're breaking out right now. The consolidation is ending next 48 hours, most likely. There's supposedly supposed to be a big announcement on Tuesday. The Bitcoin maxis are putting it out, so I don't trust it to be that big. I believe it's going to be something in regards to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. The Bitcoin maxis are hyping it up. They won't say what it is. So I'm hesitant to put too much on it. But I believe that just the way that the market's trading right now, I think that you probably see the bottom this week. The short-term bottom coming back in. We already bottomed back out at 269. And that's why over the past couple of weeks, when I was putting out content saying break out, that we already did break out, it's because the low was already set at 269. And if you look at the wedge, we'd already came up out of it. And we had our target set on September 7th. We had our target set on September 17th, the interest rate decision day. And sure enough, the market basically bottomed out and then rallied up until one day after the interest rate decision. And, you know, basically suckered in some last people into that trade when the interest rate cut came and the market went back up. That was just suckering in the last few traders before they brought this thing back down to 295 for XRP. And the real reason too, obviously I wanted to enjoy my weekend and not have to worry about my trade, but it was the rejection on Bitcoin that I also took note of, is that Bitcoin had rejected off of 117, I believe, is where we're at on the Bitcoin chart. That was right here, 117.8. 117.8. So Bitcoin rejected off that level, and that's when we said, okay, we're rolling over for this entire market. And sure enough, that's what came in. So to answer your question, which I do appreciate that, I think that we'll be bottoming out this week. We'll find a new bottom this week. Okay. PB&J, sorry I missed your chat. Do exchanges pay spot price or discounted price? Exchanges could get a discount. It could be slightly discounted. When you're buying in bulk, right? I mean, Ripple could decide to sell their XRP at whatever price they wanted. Ripple could put a premium on it, right? But what we know from the lawsuit is that they were giving discount to some institutional partners. I cannot speak on what any discounts might be at this point, or if they are even offering any discounts at this point, right? But obviously, most likely, if somebody's coming to market looking to buy a bunch of XRP from Ripple, and it's one of their trusted partners, they're going to give them a very good rate, right? They're not going to be charging over spot, right? Unless Ripple wanted to really force the supply shock, maybe they could. Yep. Gabriel Garcia, thank you. Congrats on the third child. Glory to God. Love that you share your knowledge. Please protect yourself by not celebrating Halloween. That is an evil holiday. Just sharing a gift to bless your family. Yes, Gabriel, I appreciate that, my friend. We don't get demonic with it. You know what I'm saying? I know. We're very conscious of that. Absolutely. Absolutely. The harvest season, go through a little corn maze. Decorate, let them decorate. Yeah, but definitely careful definitely protecting ourselves. Tim Omar's, thank you. God bless you and God bless Charlie's family. Amen. Amen. Bill Harvey, good to see you, brother. Thanks, Zach, for your content and congratulations for number 3. Your birthday is one day after mine, Mr. Virgo friend. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Josh, thank you for coming in here. So the Rex ETF only had 130,000 XRP securing their offering. So if 30 million of inflows came in, they need to purchase 30 million worth of XRP tomorrow. And there are 15 to 20 more ETFs coming. Oh boy. Yeah, so that was the volume though, Josh. That's a great point. Great question. 37 million of volume, but you have to look at the net, right? So you have inflows and outflows. People were buying it, but people were also selling it. And so there's 37 million in total volume. How much of that was buy versus sell? And this is where I'm excited. I'll show you guys right now on CoinGlass. If you go to CoinGlass, and I'll show you guys right here. This is the front page of CoinGlass. Well, that's the XRP page. Here's the front page of CoinGlass.com. And I highly recommend you guys check this out. This is where I check all the order book flows. But what you can do is you can go to the markets here, and then you can see Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs, Solana ETFs, Grayscale, Bitcoin Treasuries, Strategic Ethereum Reserve. Here soon, they're going to be adding XRP ETFs, and they're also going to be adding XRP Strategic Reserves. But right now, you can go to the Bitcoin ETFs, and you can track the Bitcoin net flows. You got over 11 different ETFs, I believe, right here. And you get to track all of those. The spot ETF net inflows. So you can see when this is positive and negative. Inflow of 163 million. Let's see, on September 19th, that was Friday, you had an inflow of 222 million. On September 18th, you had an inflow of 163 million. Now, if we saw inflows that big, XRP's market for XRP ETFs in the hundreds of millions, XRP's going to 20 to 30 bucks. I mean, it's going to double digits with ease. Like, unequivocally. 100%. If we see those same levels of inflows coming into XRP, it's going to make XRP's market cap pop by hundreds of billions. Because the multiplier that we're observing is well over 100, well over 100. Well over 100. Being conservative, it's at 100. 200, 300, 400. I was filming with Chris for the new documentary, Money Disrupted. I had pulled up and brought to the interview. He wanted to talk about the multiplier. And I'm very glad that he has allowed me to be a part of this documentary that includes Robert Kiyosaki, Lynette Zhang, Andy Schectman, and others. It's going to be a big one. And I talked about the multiplier, and the example that I brought up was the Trump strategic reserves. When XRP pumped, and the multiplier was like 478. I'll show you right now. This is the tweet. This is what I brought up when Chris asked me to bring up an example of the multiplier. Trump tweets XRPs in the US Reserve. 12 hours of inflows, 92 million of inflows, 44 billion of market cap growth, a 478x market cap multiplier. Now, once again, let's fly back over here to CoinGlass. Look at these Bitcoin ETF inflows, 222 million, 163 million. You know, we're seeing days here, 740 million. Look at these days, 1.18 billion. Now, are the XRP ETFs going to see this much? Maybe not. Maybe they will. Maybe they see more. Maybe the inflows come in more aggressively than the Bitcoin ETF inflows did. This is where that market cap multiplier I've been talking about is going to fundamentally change the reality of many people investing in markets broadly when they see what XRP does. Not just people in crypto, markets broadly. Like the people in Wall Street that are coming to Ripple's Swell Conference, when they get to gather November 4th and 5th in New York and talk about how successful the rollout of the XRP ETFs have been as they enjoy each other's company, I was so excited to come back to the mic tonight, back in studio, because I know what's coming. 100% certain that you're looking at a double-digit XRP very soon. 100%. Now, I can't go to big numbers, 100%. I can't guarantee anything. I'm just sharing my speculation. And if I could be wrong about anything, it would be about XRP going to much, much higher prices than my conservative base case of a $20 to $30 XRP in 2026. Base case. And so we're watching these ETF inflows on Bitcoin, hundreds of millions, billion of inflows. Well, what happens when we get 92 million of inflows after Trump says XRP's in the reserve? XRP's market cap grows by 44 billion, 478x multiplier. So I'm telling you, I mean, when you talk about a billion of inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs in a day, what's stopping there from being a billion of inflows into the XRP ETFs in a day? And if you throw, 12 hours of inflows, you don't get 12 hours of trading on the ETFs. That's the other thing that people need to understand. These ETFs then have to go at the end of the day to buy XRP from somebody. Where are they going to get that XRP? The Coinbase wallets are being drained as we speak. And when I brought this up in a tweet last week, I saw some people mention that Binance has all of the XRP and that they could go get it from Binance. Of course, they could, but a lot of these ETF issuers, for whatever reason, are really not using Binance all that much. Unless that's changed since I last checked, they're getting the Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're getting it from wherever they can get it, really. But the custodian has been Coinbase for a lot of these ETFs. But once again, when Trump tweeted XRP in the reserve, 12 hours of inflows, 92 million of inflows, 44 billion of market cap growth, 478x multiplier, you see 100 million flow into an XRP, into XRP ETFs in one day. We could easily be looking at XRP's market cap growing by, hundreds of billions with ease. With ease. Because you also have retail trading on top of these ETF flows. And that's why the ETF, the ETF variable is only one part of the equation when I'm evaluating every single crypto opportunity right now. It's only one part of the equation. You have the digital asset treasury companies, which bring more demand, lock up more supply. And then you have institutional adoption, which locks up more supply, burns more XRP, and gets more XRP liquidity, more liquidity on the XRP ledger. And so we're right here, folks. We're right here. This is looking fantastic with what we're observing in the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs. And once again, am I ever going to buy one of these ETFs? No. God, no. I direct all of my investments. So I don't need BlackRock. I don't need any of these guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate what they're doing because they're going to roll the pension funds. And BlackRock's going to be selling it for us. I don't have to sell XRP. We just sell what we believe in an effort of being honest and transparent with our community, right? And we do so by saying, hey, we went 90% XRP. We are guilty of being all in XRP, relatively speaking. And boy, has it paid off. And look at what's coming down the pipe. I used the example as we stopped in St. Helens, which is Halloween Town. I guess it's where Twilight was filmed and Halloween Town was filmed. I haven't seen either one. And so we stopped in St. Helens there on the Oregon side of the Columbia River. And I made a little TikTok. And I said, guys, the ETF inflows have begun. The XRP ETF, first spot ETF has gone live. And what has been a relative trickle, a crick in your backyard as far as inflows into XRP, is now a body of water, a flow, a stream, a river as big as the Columbia River, which for those of you guys who don't know is a massive river that divides Oregon and Washington state. That is the spigot being turned on. That's what's coming into the XRP ETFs, not including digital asset treasuries, institutional adoption, me and you, Joe Blow, picking up a bag of XRP. Degen trader trading XRP for memes. Guilty of doing that sometimes. All of it burns XRP, all of it locks up XRP. As we enter XRP DeFi season and our DeFi is set to explode, I want to get through the rest of our comments and questions. So many coming in. Thank you. Thank you. Where did we leave off? Dennis, 15 JP Morgan execs tried to buy the escrow. Yeah, they went and met. They went to the offices of Ripple. Now think about that. JP Morgan sending their top brass to some little tech startup in San Francisco. Yeah, they ain't coming in to waste time. They're showing up to offer you a deal you can't refuse, if you know what I mean. Shannon, God bless you. Thank you for the big donation. Congrats to you guys. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for your support. Exciting times. Exciting times. And that's what our family's about. Shannon's been in our Discord group. Shannon's got to meet myself and my wife. Always a pleasure getting together with the XRP family. I wish I could share more with you guys, but you know how it is. I wish I could share more. I'm so proud. So proud of my family. So proud of what we've been able to build. And so proud of this community too that's building your families, building your businesses, making your investments to put your family in a better place. That's what this is all about. You bet we wear it on our sleeve every day. You know exactly who I'm fighting for. Thank you, Shannon. Appreciate you. Freedom Jack, thank you. Hey, Zach, glad you made it back from vacay safely. What exchange do you use to trade? Coinbase? Yeah, exactly. So I use Coinbase to trade futures right now. I use Coinbase to trade some other spot cryptos. I use Caleb & Brown. I use Uphold. I've mostly just been using Coinbase and Caleb & Brown. I still do have a good bag on Uphold as well too. And let's see here. I also use the XRP Ledger DEX, okay? Now, yeah, so I'm trading on Coinbase and Caleb & Brown. Sorry, I was just pulling up here this link I want to show you guys. I've been trading on Coinbase for the futures. I've also been trading other spot cryptos on Coinbase. I've been trading on Caleb & Brown, and I've been moving some of my XRP over to Caleb & Brown. And I've been very pleased with their platform, right? And have a good bag of XRP over there. And what I'm looking at setting up right now is my Roth IRA. And I've been working with Mark Kohler's law firm, KKOS Lawyers. And I do have them linked up down below in the tax, legal, and estate planning link. That's for KKOS Lawyers, Mark Kohler's law firm. And I'm going to have Mark Kohler back on the show here shortly. We actually got tapped in a special invite from Mark to a free crypto tax summit last week. I shared that link on my Discord group and also on X. So if you aren't following me on X, make sure you are. And then if you're tapped in with our Discord group, then you get to see everything. But we had a special private exclusive call with our Discord group in August last month. About an hour and a half long session with Mark. And then we got a free crypto tax summit, which was 3 hours of content on saving on taxes, focused on crypto, 9 different strategies. And that was a free event that Mark put on. He invited our community, and so we took advantage of that last week. And we're going to get Mark back on the show as well, too. But I did want to let you guys know that Mark's team right now is working on my family trust. And so we've already cut a check to the firm. I've already met with my lawyer, and they're now currently drafting up my trust documents for my family as well, too. Been very pleased with the experience, and Mark Kohler just brings so much value in his content for free. And then also, it's been a pleasure working with his law firm. We've already sent quite a few of our community members over there have been giving us really good feedback. So that's linked up down below. That's the legal and estate planning link. Now, I also wanted to let you guys know that we have added a new partner to the channel as well, and that is iTrust Capital. The reason why I'm excited to add them is we were missing a 401k platform for crypto and precious metals. And so that's what I was really excited about. iTrust Capital is now also offering their premium custody account as well. And so this is an institutional grade custody account that you can take advantage of outside of your 401k. But I'm going to be looking to set up my Roth IRA, and then I'll be looking to invest on iTrust Capital after that is done. I'm having KKOS lawyers work on that. We're going to, Mark actually shared this strategy with us. It's called a mega backdoor Roth. I'm very excited to see if we can implement that either this year or next year for my family. I'm very excited about that product because it allows you to invest more than the, whatever the limit is, 7,000 on a traditional Roth. They got a structure that actually allows you to do quite a bit more. I'm very excited about that. But anyways, once that Roth IRA gets set up for me, I'm very excited to plug this in as a community resource. That's iTrust Capital. And so once again, they can handle you for 401k or outside of your 401k in their premium custody account. They offer both. And if you use the promo code, which is Rector9, that is my special promo code, you can claim your $100 funding bonus. So very excited to plug them in. No monthly annual fees, 1% on the transaction fee for buy and sell, only $75 on the transaction fee over spot per ounce on gold, and a $3.25 silver transaction fee over spot on silver. You know how much I love my precious metals, and we've been so excited here to add them in finally. Somebody for the 401k and another platform that is offering that level of security that we love to see, that institutional grade custody. 1% on the transaction fee too. Very competitive. And they're adding new cryptos. They just added World Liberty Financial and a couple others last week, I noted. So you can do the IRA or you can do their premium custody account, institutional grade custody for both. Very excited to have them linked up down below. And once again, that promo code is going to be Rector9. You get that $100 funding bonus when you tap in with them using my promo code. Now, back to Super Chats. Thank you so much. Let's get to it. Gabriel, glad to hear your response about my previous message. Here's a small gift to bless your family in Jesus' name. A massive $100 super chat, Gabriel. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Now, let's get to rapid fire. I just wanted to get through the super chats, and now I know it's taken us an hour and a half to get here. A lot to catch up on as we get back into the studio. Let me give you guys 10 more minutes of rapid fire Q&A before we wrap up this session. If you haven't already, please make sure that you like it. Please help us out by sharing it out, and we appreciate you for supporting our cause. Thank you so much. Everything's linked up at ZachRector.com. Okay? Now, where are we at on XRP? Oh boy, folks, this is what we warned about. I might have to get off here so I can make my trade on my new XRP long. We're back down to 290. Uh-oh, let me zoom in on the chart. It's either uh-oh or, hey, thank you very much for the buying opportunity, right? Depending on how you look at it. XRP, here it goes. 291, we went right on down to 290. Right on down to 290. What are you guys seeing on your exchange? Okay. Little XRP pullback as we speak. 291. Volume on Binance is almost 1 million XRP per minute. So that's like $3 million per minute. That's pretty good. Yeah, we're going to start to see. So the daily candle just closed for XRP. Where did it close off at? Let's take a look at that. Let's see, we're 3 candles into our new day. Let me just go to the daily candles just to make it easy to look at here. Okay, so we look, the candle closed right here on Sunday, September 21st, closed off at 297, and then basically they just nuked us here. So we're coming back down to 290 right now, folks. This is the daily chart. Market's coming back down. This is where I was looking to enter my XRP long, because even if I could just get back in below 292, I would be able to move back into my XRP long and acquire a bigger position, or just lower my entry with a smaller trade if I didn't want to deploy all of that capital that I deployed to that XRP long, which was a lot, right? So this is exactly what I was looking for. It's happening right now. I hope everybody's paying attention that's looking to make accumulations right now, whether that be short-term trades or just acquiring your bags, filling them up. We are pulling back right now. Yes, that's an important point to make there. Todd Kerr, thank you for noting that. That is one thing about their premium custody account at iTrust Capital is for a security measure, they only allow you to, well, you can, obviously invest in your crypto, but you can only pull US dollars to your bank account. So they call it a closed loop system where you can only pull cash to your bank account out as a security measure. But obviously you would need to keep that in mind, knowing that if you invest in XRP or any other digital asset, you send it to their premium custody account, you're only going to be able to get US dollars out. You will have a tax event, right? Because this would not be in your 401k or tax advantaged account. This would just be right in your spot position. So you would be taking on a tax event, and you can only pull out US dollars to your bank account through their premium custody account. It's a security measure that they've implemented. But for example, if you knew, okay, I'm going to sell off 10,000 of my XRP at this price, you could put it on their platform knowing that you want to convert it to US dollars back to your bank account, right? So for those that are looking to make a move like that, that premium custody account would provide institutional grade custody and allow you to cash out using that platform at 1% on the transaction fee. And so, like I said, what we're looking to do is always provide you guys the community resources to help you get the job done. I finally did come back home to my Gemini credit card. We were waiting to get this one in the mail. They were way backed up because the XRP family, you know what we do. We come in and we got a lot of money too. And a lot of us took advantage of this because with this Gemini card, you just spend regular money filling up at the gas, 4% XRP back when you use your Gemini credit card, right? And so I just came back. I had it on my Apple Wallet, but now I got the physical card. It is a nice metal card. Hear it. Nice metal on metal. We love our precious metals, don't we? I like that they don't have the card number on here, so I don't have to worry about flashing my credit card number to you guys either. So the Gemini credit card is here. I was able to get approved and sign up in 2 minutes. I didn't have a Gemini account and never had used their platform before. So this is my first experience with Gemini. I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'm excited to first swipe my card or tap my card for the first time. I didn't use it on my phone at all, but I'm excited to try it out and then earn XRP back. Once again, your everyday purchases on that Gemini card. Pretty interesting deal. That's linked up in the description down below as well. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, people are crying in the chat. Of course. It's just another day. Of course. Look at this bounce though on the daily. Back down to 291 here. Let me take a few more comments and questions, guys. The bull is here. We got a lot of bulls. Yeah. Why are we tanking? Well, as we warned about, buy the rumor, sell the news on the rate cut. Also, Trump did the H-1B visa deal. That shook up the market a little bit too. Uh-oh. Oh crap, you're going to make us pay $100,000 for each one of our H-1B visas? Whoopsies. Uh-oh. That spooked the market a little bit. How's the Japan carry trade looking? They came in and stepped in again. They keep on kicking the can down the road. I have a data point on it. Let me share this with you guys. Let me see here. I'm just scrolling real quick to see where it was at. I was going to try to bring this up if we had enough time. Yeah, this is from September 18th. The Bank of Japan diffused a bomb today by keeping rates unchanged. That's right. They had an interest rate decision on September 18th, the day after our Federal Reserve. But Governor Uda's statement is an explicit admission that inflation is creeping back into Japan. For decades, the low-yielding yen was the world's favorite carry trade currency. That game is ending. When the Bank of Japan finally acts and the market is now pricing in an October move, it will have massive ripple effects on global liquidity. This isn't a simple policy decision. It's another piece of the macro puzzle, confirming the crypto thesis. Every central bank, sooner or later, is forced to admit that their currencies are in a constant state of debasement. The diffused bomb is just waiting for October to explode. Now, that would kind of time out buy the rumor, sell the news on the October ETFs as well, too, right? That's kind of what I'm expecting, right? And that's what's so interesting. You really got to be careful out here, guys, because we like to separate ourselves from those who are just can only do the bullish hopium content, crypto clickbait, right? Versus understanding that at times crypto, despite the fact that we have major bullish tailwinds behind us, like the ETFs, digital asset treasury companies, and institutional adoption, regulatory clarity, etc., you also have a global margin call taking place. And so at any point right here in next October, it's being expected that the Bank of Japan will have to make a move. They're going to have to raise rates, and this is going to be a big problem. Their bond yield's already at its highest levels. And to capitulate even further, it's going to be a big one. So we'll be watching that. We'll keep you guys updated on that. But I am still expecting us to run up between now and then. After we catch out this short-term bottom. This is the market digesting and finally understanding that it's still not perfect out there. It's not rosy sunshine and rainbows completely, despite the fact that we got a rate cut, right? So we got a rate cut in the United States. We did not get one in the Bank of Japan. I guess actually, yeah, they're not going to raise rates. They need to cut. They need to cut, and that's going to be the waving the white flag from the Bank of Japan there. Okay. So we'll continue to watch this market, guys. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. It was a pleasure running up tonight's live show with you guys. We will be back tomorrow, back in the office here. So thankful, so blessed. Got to bring in and celebrate, 31 years of age for myself, my son turning 2. I get to announce to the world here today that yes, we are bringing a third one in, God willing. Beautiful baby boy will be here come spring. And I just want to say thank you for all of your support, whether you guys are just liking our content, sharing it out to friends, family, loved ones, people that you want to get tapped in with us. This is how we've grown this platform. It is not just me. It is with you guys right alongside of us, sharing our content, praying for us. We appreciate it. We could not do it without you. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to hit it all week long. And boy, are we going to make a lot of money to finish off this year in Q4. Q4 2025 is truly going to be life-changing for our community. And it can be the building, the building blocks and the first steps towards generational wealth for you and your family. That is what I want to achieve together. Okay? God bless all of you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.